Today, big dog, we are going to be making a meta tier list. What the hell's the set called again? No, wait, I closed the tab. Somebody help me out. What's the set name? Anxiety's kicking in, guys. Forbidden Liberated? That's a stupid name. Today, big dog, we are going to be doing a Master Duel meta tier list post Forbidden Liberated. Probably one of the dumbest names I've ever heard for a Yu-Gi-Oh set. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all, big dogs? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that's your day. Phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Today, big dogs, like I said before, we're going to make a tier list on the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Post Forbidden Liberated. And this is coming from somebody that's had quite a bit of time as experience in the TCG playing against these decks, as well as a Master Duel player. How do I think these will translate? Let's go ahead and jump on in. We have 5 different categories here. Top deck means that I think that this is the easiest strategy to get the Masters with, all the way down to Xbox cross-play off. This has been a joke that we've been doing for years now, and it pretty much means that you can get the Masters if you play on your Xbox with the cross-play off. Let's start off with Branded, and I still think Branded is one of the best decks in Master Duel. Can chat help me out here? When is that ban list dropping? When we get Bestial Serenir to 3? Same day as the new pack. You're cooked. I think that Branded goes from takes a really good pilot to really good. And the reason why is because Bestial monsters are going to be a lot more powerful. But Bestial monsters also double down with Branded and serve as a way for them to easily get into Branded Fusion. In my personal opinion, I think that Branded is the strongest deck in Master Duel when it comes to like skill ceiling and reward. You can get the Masters with this deck. You can get to Rated with this deck. You can pretty much do whatever you want with this deck because the ceiling is limitless. And getting Bestial Serenir off the ban list is a huge boost to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck. I would also put Mementos at Xbox crossplay off, which is really, really unfortunate. There are 3 new cards that Memento needs to be competitive. I think we're going to get them next month. And if we do get them next month, Memento becomes a really good to top Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategy. One is Memento the Fusion monster. It allows you to send 3 meme cards from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard. It also gives you instant access to your field spell. The other is Memento Sleep. That one's hugely needed. It's another way to fusion summon. And then the other one is Memento Anticron, which is a crazy good card for recursion and getting more monsters to the side of the field. There's really a lot of potential with Memento, but for right now, the lines are incredibly easy to disrupt. And I wouldn't say that Memento is a good deck right now, but once we get those 3 Memento cards and possibly even more Goblin Biker support, the extra Goblins and Biker support, this deck gets crazy. Drytron, I think Drytron would be an experimental. One thing that I think we're going to notice is that one of the biggest counters to Fiendsmith are going to be the Bestial cards. Meaning that if you can play a deck that benefits the Bestials, whether you're playing for or against in a particular way, your deck's going to be a lot stronger. But also, if your deck is weak to Bestials, your deck is going to be a lot weaker once you start getting into the higher ranks. I think that Labyrinth takes a really good pilot. I'm not mad at Mommy Milkers for what she did to me to make me crash out about a couple weeks ago. You're trash! You're trash! Absolute dog water! Donkey juice! I forgive her, but this is one of those decks that isn't bad against the Fiendsmith deck because it does things that Fiendsmith has to respect. The powerful trap cards, the getting rid of the important cards, the banishment, the putting face down, the hand loops and everything that this deck has to offer. The problem with Labyrinth is that bad Yu-Gi-Oh! Players get a hold of this deck and it makes me simply want to crash out. It's behind me. 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 Move forward, Callie. Move forward. Woosah. I am going to kill that Yu-Gi-Oh! Player. Blunderease has been a dead deck in the TCG and Master Duel for quite some time, guys. Nothing really changes here. I'm not sure if we have Swallow's Quarry in Master Duel, but I don't even think that really does much. Regardless, Floowandereeze is a fairly slow Yu-Gi-Oh deck, and strategies have figured out how to be able to keep up and pass it up. I think that White Force gets really good, right? So one of the biggest things that White Force was missing was a card like White Force Azamina. And that is a card that we as the TCG players just recently got. Like, we just got it. And now you guys are getting it too. White Force has had some very favorable results because the Azamina cards allow you to be able to insulate your combo. The White Forest cards, you've seen them on Master Duel and how powerful they are. But having a whole nother line to be able to add to the deck is really important. And having more insulation is also good. And that's something that this has to offer for the deck. I think it's going to be one of the better decks in Master Duel. And I think one of the best ways to play it, personally, some people may disagree, is going to be a hand trapless version. Just using spell and trap cards as board breakers, but also using them for discards for your White Forest cards. And even the toy engine, the toy box engine may not be played anymore. Gimmick Puppet, I would say, is experimental. Gimmick Puppet is really good until you get to the higher, or you play against people that know what they're doing against the deck, or you get into the higher ranks. It's one of those decks I wouldn't urge you to play. I wouldn't tell you to play. But, you know, brain dead people gonna be brain dead. So I can't really be mad at you for doing what you're supposed to do. I think Chaos Dragons are going to be in Takes a Good Pilot. And it's going to be contrary to popular belief, right? You would think because the Bystials are good, immediately the best deck to use Bystials becomes good. But it's a little bit more complicated than that when it comes to this deck. Some of the biggest problems that Chaos Dragon or Rocket Dragon or whatever you want to call it has is deck building. I think that you're going to need to pick a lane. Either you're going to play like heavy Bystials, Fiendsmith, or you're going to incorporate those Rocket cards. It's going to be really hard to make your deck consistent, have all the disruptions, and still have the ability to pop off under certain circumstances. So it's a lot of deck building decisions here. I do think that this could be one of the strongest decks in Master Duel in the correct situation. And it's probably the antithesis to Fiendsmith style Yu-Gi-Oh decks. Fiendsmith is going to come out the gate as a top Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It has all of the cards. I believe it even has Lacrima. What makes this even scarier is that Beatrice isn't banned. So like the loops that players are doing for Ghost Meets Girl, the Mayakashi, and sending Angel of Blue Tears to be able to search any trap card from their deck to their hand is kind of ridiculous. But overall, any Light Fiend deck or any deck that can take advantage of Light Fiends has gotten a significant boost. I think it puts a lot of decks in the top conversation. And hypothetically, if we get all of the Fiendsmith cards that we have to this day, this is a pure deck is still really, it's incredibly strong. Like a Fiendsmith, hell, even a Fiendsmith Bystial favoring the Fiendsmith cards would be crazy. Heroes are in a structure deck. I'm still going to put them in Takes a Good Pilot. I think we're going to need more statistical data for us to see Heroes be a good deck when everything is now cheap and available. Because before, you would get the players that are getting into the game or the players that are die-hard dedicated to Heroes to play the deck. But now that the deck is a lot cheaper, we're going to get a little bit more Heroes into the game, and we're going to see where this deck actually stands, right? Orcus, I'm going to put Orcus in experimental. It was already bad enough that the deck wasn't that great. Like, it had a nice little run, and now Bystials are expected to be played more. So I don't think that this deck will get stronger. I think Dark Magician is Xbox crossplay off. Better Dark Magic attack yourself into some better cards. Sword Soul, Xbox crossplay off. Blue Eyes, Xbox crossplay off. Sheesh! I hate doing this to these decks, man. They're very fun decks to play, especially Blue Eyes with the new support is insane, my boys. I'm telling you, you're gonna love the Blue Eyes new support. But Jesse made a Dark Magician deck? That's crazy. Still not good. Again, this tier list isn't telling you can't get to Masters with these decks. But I think that if you think it would be just as easy to get to Masters with Sword Soul or Blue Eyes as it would be with Fiendsmith, then we're going to have to get your head checked out, all right? Right? I think that's fair. Pearly's in Takes a Good Pilot for me. I don't think Pearly is bad. I think Pearly's really strong. and it also can play around Bestials and stuff pretty well. But the problem with Pearly is that I still don't know how to play this deck. I look at this deck and it's like, what are we doing? Like, how exactly do I get it going? And there's so much planning and thinking. I think it is one of the more complicated decks. Chimera has been such a disappointment. This is the only deck that can play, well, I'm sorry, White Force can too. It can play Fiendsmith and Azamina, and it can blend them so well. It's really good at that. But it's also incredibly disappointing when you compare it to its other counterparts. Like, White Forest can do both of them and probably does both of them a little better. This deck's just disappointing, man. I hope that it's different in Master Duel, and maybe the best of one will help it out. But 100%, every time I play this deck, I feel good playing it. Every time we try to get results for this deck or we see results, they don't happen. I think the bottom line for it is that this deck is way too hard to play. There are other Fiendsmith versions of decks that are easier to play and get you the same results. What about Branded Chimera? That hasn't been a thing since Branded Fusion went to 1. I don't think that would be a wave. Voiceless Voice, I think Voiceless Voice has to go down because I had it at top deck. But if everybody starts playing Fiendsmith, then everybody starts playing Bestials, which means you're going to have a hard time dealing with that. And that's exactly what happened in the TCG. When the Bestials are good, this deck's not great. But when the Bestials are bad, this deck's crazy, right? This deck's really, really strong. Centurion, I'm also going to put in Takes a Good Pilot. This actually is a really good counter against Fiendsmith, and it's good against the Mole Chummy cards. Because this deck can play under the Mole Chummy cards, and it can also play a ton of Bestials. So watch out for this deck. I think it could be here. Actually, I'm going to make a bold take and say it's here because it does have some solid counters about what's going on against the meta. The Snake Eyes Diabell Star is for Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes doesn't have to play Fire King anymore. It can go to Snake Eyes Azamina. It can go to Snake Eyes Azamina Fiendsmith. And to be honest, I think we have similar hits in the TCG. I know there's Snake Eyes Ash at 1. Bonfire and Wanted are at 1 in the TCG, but that's not stopping this deck from doing what it has to do to be able to still make full combo and take advantage of the cards. I think as long as the original Sinful Spoils is banned, then this deck is a problem. And it's going to be a problem until that card is addressed. Ashen, guys, is the best deck in cross playoff, easily. Come on now. Come on now. You've seen the replay, man. This deck's solid. Solid ass. Can't say that. Solid booty. It's like it's a glute raise machine, chat. Solid butt. I think because a lot of players are playing the Snake Eyes version, or I'm sorry, the Azamina or Fiendsmith version, the Fire King version, it's like, why play it? The reason why we dropped Fire King for Azamina is because the Azamina line gives us everything that we wanted. We get a negation before we go into our Snake Eyes line. We get full Fiendsmith combo too, which is a little bit stronger than the Fire King cards. And while the Fire King cards can destroy cards on the field, they fall susceptible to cards like DDD Wave King Caesar, something that the Fiendsmith cards can make a lot easier. Tearlament will probably never die. Still in really good. I think it's just a solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I think the same reason why Voiceless Voice is here is the reason why Tearlament's here. More Bestials, more problems. Yubel is a top deck. I think there was probably a point in time where we were like, Yubel isn't that good anymore. Then you got Verugis. Now you're getting Fiendsmith. Fun fact, guys. If Aerial Eater is in the Master Duel, Fiendsmith the Graver is full Yubel combo. Which, who wants to deal with that, right? Azamina Fire King was meta after Rhoda in the TCG. Cap.
Stop the cap.
Cap. That was cap. Hold on.
It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
Oh, hold on. Hold on, chat. There's 2 tops here. There's 2 tops. Hold on. Wait. We might have more. We might have more. 3 regionals. 4. It was a deck. Top deck. No. I do remember this deck. It was a deck. There was no reason why we wouldn't be playing Fiendsmith and okay. All right. How about this? Snake Eyes, Fire King, Azamina, is a still playable Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It's still powerful. Why would you play it over Fiendsmith? I could be wrong. I'm always, you know what? How about this? Because it is stronger than these, right? I'll give you that. It is stronger than these. But there's no reason to play this deck over this deck. Kashtira is... I could probably put Kashtira on top deck and I shouldn't even blink an eye, right? Like, Kashtira could be here. Like, it's definitely right here. Kashtira has a few things that will probably make you cringe for a second, right? Master Duel doesn't need Arrow Eater because they have Beatrice, no? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Holy crap. Yeah, they do have Beatrice. You're right. You're right. Hey, Viru's spitting today. Okay. Get it, King. I see you. Though Arrow Eater would allow you to send 2 cards, so you going crazy. I don't know what 2 cards you're going to send, but you got 2 cards to send. Arrow Eater would allow you to be able... Actually, now that I think about it, Arrow Eater would allow you to be able to go full combo, then make Beatrice, then send Transaction Rollback and the Mayakashi, if you decide to play those bad cards. But there's your thing. Anyways, Kashtira has all of the tools to be able to beat the top decks. Unicorn to banish Fiendsmith pieces, Fenrir to apply pressure, but also 2 Kash monsters equals full Fiendsmith combo, plus one of your Kash monsters back. So I think that this is a deck to watch out for, especially considering Kashtira Riceheart is that's a card. That's a card. Kashtira Riceheart is something that we don't have to deal with in the TCG, and it's a complete counter to a lot of the good decks. So I would probably put it here, but we're gonna have to have time tell. Melodious is just solid. Melodious doesn't do a lot of great things. Same thing with Mathemac. These are just solid Yu-Gi-Oh decks. I wish that they would finally die because I hate both of them. They take too much time and they do too much. But just overall decent decks. Tenpai Dragon is still one of the best decks in the game. As long as you can Unga Bunga turn off your brain and still play, you're going to be all right. Dino, I would put an Xbox crossplay off. Exodia with no Secret Village, I would put an experimental. I don't think that this deck is that strong. Rescue Ace, I would put in really good. I think Rescue Ace, ironically, Rescue Ace might even be stronger than Fire King because you have the Azamita to insulate your Turbulence. Instead of pivoting into a full Fire King combo, you pivot into the Rescue Ace combo, which is a lot more potent. You have protections. Oh yeah, I maybe it could be, maybe possibly. I could also be coping there, but yeah, I think that deck's pretty good. Unchained, I'm gonna put in experimental, but Unchained could actually be right here. The Fiendsmith cards really do help out Unchained, and it makes the deck consistent. It makes it a legitimate, consistent pile of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And Testina is 100% the top Yu-Gi-Oh deck, guys. You don't know? You don't know? Testina's crazy, man. Like, if the Xbox was turned off, it would be the best deck in the world. So, that's what it is. But yeah, this is what I got for the Master Duel tier list post Forbidden Labyrinth. Stupid ass name. I think that some of the best decks in the game stay the best decks in the game. You get a little bit of movement for the light and dark balance decks. But Fiendsmith will definitely dictate a lot of strategies in the game. Of course, let me know down below in the comment section. What do you think about these particular strategies? And what do you think I got right / wrong? Can't wait to see what you have to say.